Content on this production is for entertainment and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice, nor is it intended to substitute medical treatment or diagnosis. Seek medical help if you believe that you are suffering from a mental illness or are a threat to yourself or others. By using any or all of the information provided, you do so at your own risk. Any application of the material is at the listener's discretion and is his or her sole responsibility.
Welcome to Doc Talks, where we talk about life's troubles, trials, triumphs, and just everyday happenings. Today I have with me Dylan Palladino. Dylan, thank you for being with us here today. And I hope that we really get to look at the life of a comedian.
Yeah, dude, I hope so. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're excited. It seems like comedians a lot of them suffer from a chronic depression. Have you, in your career dealing with other comedians, how do you see that in others?
So I've thought about this a lot, and I think that a lot of times this depression might stem from a almost addiction to the high of when you get on stage.
Right.
I think a lot of comedians maybe start out, they want more happiness in their life, they want more laughter, whatever it is. I know for me, the reason why I wanted to start doing it was I was not in a great place in college, just like in a bad couple of months, kind of a normal like depression. The thing is, a lot of people just have normal malaise and sadness in their life, and that's part of just being human.
Right.
And I remember I was listening to a comedian on Pandora, and I just remember feeling good and laughing at it. And I remember having the distinct thought, I want to do this for other people because I've been here and I get it.
Right.
And I think a lot of comedians have that even more than I do. I'm lucky enough that I have a decent amount of not insane depression, but I know people that do. But I think it leads people towards comedy because you feel good doing it. You feel validated from other people doing it, which then I think helps to combat it a bit. And at least for me, and I like to think a lot of comics are like this as well, you feel like you're helping someone that might be going through some shit that you were going through.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So how does that affect you, though, being on stage and getting the response from your audience, but then walking off stage? Do you ever get the feeling like, man, I nailed that and felt good, or then just really thought, oh, I did a horrible job while they responded, but it was just kind of awkward?
Oh, yeah, you have a lot of bombs.
Okay.
You do poorly a lot.
Okay.
And I don't know if all comics are like this, but for me, I don't like bombing. No one likes bombing.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. But a lot of times if I get off stage and I don't think I did my best or I feel like I could do better, I almost want to go up again right then and there.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that's the mark of whether someone is going to be a comic or not. Is it's easy to get off stage and have done well and be like, I want to do that again.
Right.
But if you get off and you're like, that did not go well, and then you want to go do it again so you can get better, I think that is whatever the kind of psychosis in our brain that the switch has been flipped,
Right.
that leads towards that. Because for me, if it goes poorly, I'm like, time to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta figure this out.
Right. You've got to make up for
You got to make
that.
up for it. Yeah, you're really chasing the dragon that is doing well, because it's a feeling and a drug that's better than anything I've ever done.
Right.
Or experienced with other people. And I really think that a lot of people that meet comics who seem kind of chronically sour or jaded or anything, it's because we've been doing this thing where we get this high that is being on stage, doing well, getting in front of people,
Mm-hmm.
that, all the other times we're just like trying to get back there. We're sick, we're trying to get good, man. We're trying and when you don't get on stage for a while or you haven't had a good show in a while, you get more and more upset because you haven't had your fix of just killing it and crushing. And I have felt it for me. When you don't have a good set in a while, you'll hear a lot of comics be like, I haven't had a good set in a while. Or you hear comics be like, I had a great set 2 weeks ago. And you can ride that for a while if it was really good.
Right.
Yeah.
So no one likes any of my jokes that I give. So I guess I'm the dad joke extraordinaire.
But dad jokes are necessary in our society. And if they're done right, it's almost like someone had to do it,
Right.
and it was dad, and he's filling his part. You know what I mean?
Right.
You maybe have a role, and you're like, I know I have to make this joke. You know, there was I passed by a restaurant the other day, and it was called I think Jerkin It Chicken or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, jerk. It was a jerk chicken spot.
Mm-hmm.
Jerkin It Chicken. I was like, there are a lot of dads that are driving by that spot and making an off-color joke and
Right.
really having a nice little chuckle to themselves.
Right. There is a store in Gatlinburg, Tennessee
Mhm.
that's they sell nuts, different kind of, and the name of the store is Taste Our Nuts.
Yes.
And so I'm just going, why would anybody,
Oh, because they know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the name sticks. I mean, it's all in branding. It's all there. So let me ask you this question too, before we kind of get into your life and times here. But of how do you encourage other comedians? Because I know that could be a sticky situation if somebody is like continually bombing, for them to take constructive criticism. When do you say, okay, it's okay for me to tell them, or, oh, I have to tell them? Or do you get into that?
You got to be friends with someone or have some kind of relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I see people that I know shouldn't be doing it,
Mm-hmm.
do it for years.
Yeah.
And you kind of want to be like, you want to tell them, but you're not in that area. You don't have
Mhm.
that connection. It's not worth it.
Right.
It's weird. You also know they're not going to listen because every person in stand-up kind of has this self-denial. I mean, you have to.
Right.
You have to just deny the facts because at the beginning you aren't going to be good.
Right.
So you have to just deny it and be like, I am going to get good. And sometimes people do. And other times people don't, but they still push on.
Right.
So if it's someone who I'm friends with, I'll sometimes be like, maybe add this tag, figure this out. Or if it's someone I'm friends with that I like, I will tell them, I loved it when you did this thing. This is what I think works the best for you, because I have a pretty good audience brain watching other people. With me, it's a lot harder. I never know. But when I watch other people, I go, I think this is going to work more. This is going to fit in with how you look. This is going to fit in with what you usually talk about. Sometimes I'll like help with things like that. But comics usually don't want advice from other comics unless they ask for it. There's maybe 2 or 3 people they'll ask for. We all kind of want to just figure it out on our own.
Right.
It's we just like, we feel like we need to do it all on our own.
Yeah.
And the people that bomb continuously, you wish the best for them.
Right.
It's pretty astonishing how good the brain is at denying reality.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I watched this comic one time, and he was in a church. He was a Christian comic, and he was Amish
That sounds good.
of all things.
Amish, really.
Amish. And he talked about that he had 14 goats, and his whole bit
Yeah.
was, and I was like, this is the most horrible that I've ever heard. And he had all this merchandise. I mean, just all this stuff. And so I was out in the foyer, and I heard him on the phone with somebody saying, I just killed it, man. That was the best show. And I was like, people were laughing at you, not at your jokes.
Here's the thing. I really envy those guys.
Yeah.
Because I feel like their self-talk and their confidence is probably higher than mine ever will be. Or they could be really just trying hard to deny the fact that they know the truth. I don't know.
Right.
I kind of want to believe it's the first one, because I want to believe that there's some people out there that are so oblivious that they just think they're the shit and are the best, even though they aren't. Can we curse on here, by the way?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
We're be
Um,
you. We're not trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And besides, it's too late. You already
Yeah,
have.
I said
So-
it's what. Yeah, you can believe it.
A couple of podcasts, though, if we bleep some things out, we'd just hear bleeps. That's
Yeah,
And so it's all good. It's
awesome.
all good.
I'll keep it to a minimum. But those guys, I'm like, man, he just doesn't see it and he doesn't care, and he's so confident that he did well. Those are the guys that are good. Those are some of the guys that honestly, they might be at it for 15 years, and then maybe they'll finally figure something out
Right.
and make some kind of career, because they just refused to see all the signs that they weren't doing well.
Right.
You know, because sometimes it's just a game of attrition.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm never telling someone I killed when I didn't.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I loved what you said when I asked you about, if you give advice to other comics, where you said, I would go to them and I would say, I loved this,
Mhm.
instead of what a lot of people probably would do is say, this wasn't good.
Yeah.
and that wasn't good. And so I love the way that you emphasize the positive. And I think it's important for us to realize that in life, when somebody does something bad, there is always a positive.
For sure.
Yeah. Telling a horrible joke here.
Yeah.
There was this lady who was always talking positive about everybody. Nobody could ever hear her say anything negative. And so the preacher came to her one day and he said, I've got her. Like, I know how I'm going to get her.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Sister so-and-so, tell me something good about the devil. And she thought for a minute and she said, well, he's an awful hard worker. So no matter who we are,
Yeah.
there is something good, and it's hard for other people to see that sometimes, but it's also very difficult for us to see that at times. And so I think it's important for us to communicate what we like about a person and not always the bad stuff.
I try to do that as soon as I meet someone.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be like, I love this thing about you. I don't know if it was learned or it's just something I like doing. It's not a conscious thing where I'm like, oh, this is endearing. This will help me.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been a learned thing where I go,
Sure.
because a lot of stuff that you do, they're habits from wanting to be liked. They're habits from wanting to fit in with the group, the tribe, all that stuff. I also think it makes you feel good. When I'm talking about something that I legitimately love about you, I'm thinking about it and it makes me happy because I liked that memory. Also, at the end of the day, if I meet someone and I actually like them and I want to have a conversation with them, I want it to go well.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to start off at the best foot possible. And I know it makes people feel good to be like, let me bring this one thing up. Let me bring up something specific so that I'm not just doing the bullshit where I'm like, oh, you're great. I'll try to, if I can remember something, bring that up because it also makes people feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't believe someone when they give them a compliment. It's hard to take compliments. So if you can be nice, it feels good for you too.
Right. Right. So you grew up in Los Angeles, but you are a New Yorker.
Yeah, I mean, I was born here, but then I moved to LA when I was 5.
Okay.
And then my parents followed soon after. No, we all went at the same time. I was 5 years old. Yeah, there you go. Bad joke. But so I moved when I was 5, and then I came back when I was 18.
Okay.
Went to NYU. And so I've been here for 10 years.
Did you just come back to New York because of NYU, or did you feel a drawing?
Definitely felt the drawing.
Okay.
Yeah, we would come back, I think, once a year to see family and go to the city, and I always loved it here. And I never liked California until I left. And then I appreciated
Sure.
all the things that I hadn't before. I'm still want to be here.
Right.
Whenever I go anywhere else, I'm like, this is really nice,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll be back in New York soon enough.
Right.
Even during the pandemic, I left for like 2.5 months. And even then I was still like, I will go back. I want to go back. But yeah, there's something about the city I think it works for hyperactive people. Definitely. Even though there's a lot of people who come here who have insane anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little confused why they would want to be in the city. I kind of equate it to if someone has ADD and they take Adderall, it calms them down.
Right.
I'm kind of like that. I don't take Adderall, but I've taken it a couple times and it did calm me down.
It calms you. Right.
I think the city's like that too. There's all this stuff going on and it makes more sense because you're like, that's what's going on in my head.
Right.
Like I remember once I was in an MRI and most people freak out and they get claustrophobic and it calmed me down because of all those noises. I was like, oh, I can go to sleep now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was talking to someone because this is my first time in New York City, first time in New York, the state. So
Really?
yeah, I'm just a country boy from Arkansas.
How long you been
so
here?
Since Sunday afternoon. So
Oh, seriously?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you lived here.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I couldn't live here. I
Oh,
mean,
no?
it's just crazy. So I was thinking the other day, I took an Uber to where I'm staying and the Uber almost run over somebody, but
Yeah,
I was like, okay, I couldn't do this. Like,
it's normal.
and so then I was talking to somebody and they were like, it's dead outside. And I'm like, there are people everywhere. And they were like, no, that's
It's
like
dead compared to-
20%.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine, can't imagine that kind of moving, going on. And so I could see though how that would be calming to people who the whole movement of everything and the energy of it
Yeah.
could calm a little
It
bit.
does, man. I like people. I don't like talking to them, but I like seeing them around, I like seeing all the weird stuff they do. I like all that. It's great. And
Right.
it's great to see it happen. And you see all the characters here and you see how real people are because everyone here, even though there's a million people around you, everyone's so caught up in their own stuff that you're like, I could do anything and no one will care. I've walked by people literally shitting on the street and you're just like, whatever. Like
Yeah.
you just are completely desensitized to it. And I say that in a way that you will see people being their realist here because they're like, well, no,
Because they're probably not ever going to see that person again.
for sure.
Yeah.
Every day there's people I run into that I most likely will never see them again. And if I do, I won't remember.
Right.
The only time you'll see someone again who's a random stranger is if you take the train at the exact same time every day for work or something. You'll maybe go, oh, I kind of recognize that person.
Or they saw you bomb one of your shows and then they know who you are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And they'll bring it up. Yeah.
Or they'll probably try to pitch you new material that they think is
the best.
hilariously
You should
funny.
do this. Yeah, my grandpa loves doing that. He's like, you should be like this guy. And I'm like, that guy's 6 inches shorter than me and has 150 pounds on me and is also Southern. So that's a little bit of a different guy.
Right.
And is a beard. And he's like, you should do more stuff like that. And I'm like, we're not the same guy at all. But thank you, Grandpa.
Right.
I appreciate it.
And that works for him, but that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also my grandpa's taste in comedy. He's 87.
Right.
He probably liked Bob Hope and like Rodney Dangerfield and stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not hating on either of them. Those guys are both, especially Rodney, were great. But it's like, that's not my style.
Right.
So.
Or like Jerry Clower or Justin Wilson, all of those older, early 80s, 70s type of stuff that would never fly, in this generation of comedy.
I even think like, because you're from the South. My mom's from the South. So I've had a lot of interactions with people in North Carolina and the South, like the South in general. And when Blue Collar Comedy Tour was going on, they were crushing it.
Mm-hmm.
Ron White's an amazing comic. So is Bill Engvall.
Larry
Ron White, Bill
Cable
Engvall,
Guy.
Larry the Cable Guy, and then Jeff Foxworthy. And, I don't know if that comedy would, I think it's a different style than what it is right now.
Sure.
But I would never look at that and go, that's bad. Or if someone was like, I liked it, I would go, yeah, I get it. It's just a different style than what I like. And it doesn't work for me. And also as a comic, you kind of see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, here a year or two ago, they did Blue Collar Reboot, where they had new comics that kind of fit the stylistics of the old, and it flopped.
It's got, everyone's going there expecting, here's your sign, expecting redneck, expecting, like you can't, you're setting them up for failure. Whoever thought of that, like, unless they're their sons and they're all four of their sons, it's going to flop. Because people, the biggest problem is expectations not being met. That's the biggest problem for most people's lives in general. Whether it's going to a comedy show, going on a date, even someone was telling me the other day, they were like, someone that loves like smoking weed, or it'll get to the point where when they start rolling the joint, their brain is already anticipating how it's going to feel, and they're already getting that serotonin, they're already getting like those neurons to be firing before they even smoke it.
Right.
And it's that anticipation of it being good.
It's kind of like Pavlov's dog.
100%.
Yeah.
100% Pavlov's dog. So it's like you have that anticipation when you go to something. That's why a lot of times I try to not want anything to be good or anticipate anything. It's hard with certain things you really want to go to, but like concerts and stuff, I really try to be like, this is going to be fun. I'm going to have a good time no matter what, but not build it up, because your brain can create something that is impossible to achieve.
Sure. So do you think it's more of like hope for the best but prepare for the worst?
In terms of what?
In terms of not building yourself up. Like you hope that it's really good and it is going to be fun, but if it's not, then I'm not going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I think it's like, I'm looking forward to this. I get to choose, and this has come from experiences where I haven't done this, and reading different people's opinions on this as well. I'm going to choose to have a good time no matter what, because we have to choose our reality. We choose how we react to things. Reality happens to us, and then there's the buffer, which is our brain and how we choose to react to something.
Right.
Which I think is a revelation I had maybe around 24, 25 to then, and I tried to incorporate that for many years, but it helped me a lot, because a lot of times people are just reactionary. Something happens and then they just go at it.
Right.
And then you have to tell yourself, wait, I get to choose what happens right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even with something like that concert, you go to it, maybe it sucks. You're like, damn, this sucks. And you can be upset for it, but you go, I'm with friends. This is okay. I'm going to choose to enjoy this. Or I'm going to choose to go, let's call an audible and go somewhere else.
Mhm.
Let's go, like, let's do something that we all are going to have a good time doing, no matter what it is. But wanting something to be what you know it's not, and we've all been there. I mean, I equate it to, it's something dumb, but since quarantine, I've been playing a lot more video games.
Mhm.
And sometimes you're playing and you're just not in the groove, right?
Right.
You're playing games, you're getting beamed from all over the place, you're getting killed. It's not good games. And you went in being like, I want good games. I want this to go well. So instead of just pulling out after 45 minutes, I'm in there for 3 hours just wanting one good game and getting more and more frustrated because it's not going well.
Right.
And I'm bad about it with games. Most other things I'm pretty good about it
Yeah,
with, but games
yeah.
I'm still like, oh, I can control this. But it's that same thing where you, instead of just accepting, this isn't it. The vibe
Right,
isn't there.
right.
You know, you go, no, I'm gonna like whenever you're trying to force something,
Mhm.
with relationships, even career stuff, when you try to force it to happen, a lot of times it feels like when you stop trying, shit works out.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if that's a perception thing. I don't know if that's a universe thing working to, whatever it is. But a lot of times it feels like that's what happens.
Right. So I've had people ask me, so how do I find a boyfriend? Or a girlfriend. I just cannot find somebody compatible. And I say, quit looking,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when that person is going to
Show up.
show up. You said something interesting when you talked about perception and reality. We have been told this lie all of our life that perception is reality. And I think it's important to point out that perception is only your reality.
What you and I see is different.
Right.
And it trips me out all the time.
Right.
That like what I see,
Mhm.
even though it's probably 99.9%
Mhm.
the same as you, it's not exactly the same.
Exactly.
What even the color of that button
Right.
might look different to you,
Absolutely.
and I'll never know that.
Right.
I'll never know.
Yeah.
But that's a different. That makes me be like, this is simulation. I get really deep, and I'm like, this is maybe a simulation. Like, am I dreaming? What the hell's going on? Yeah.
Right. So you probably don't know this, but I was a police officer for a number of years.
Really?
And I wrote somebody a ticket for running a red light, but it was like blatant obvious. I mean,
Yeah.
caused
apparently it's
an accident.
If the front wheels are past
The stop line.
the stoplight, then you're okay, right?
Right.
Even if it turns red, at least okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell myself that, and I go, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of had this 3-second rule,
Okay.
if it had been past 3. So
And
anyway,
it wasn't dangerous, right?
Right,
But this
right,
one you're saying
right.
caused.
It caused an accident. So they fought it. They went to court,
Mhm.
and they got on the stand, and the prosecutor said, okay, so why did you run the red light? They said, I did not run a red light. And they said, well, we have video here. And they said, that light is not red, it's pink. And they convinced the jury that their perception of it was not red, and the statute of law said a red light. And we could not prove with beyond a reasonable doubt that the light was red or hot pink. So they got out of it.
That's amazing.
And so-
good for them. You must
Yeah.
have been not even mad. You must have been.
I was like,
honestly floored.
you need to be an attorney.
Yeah, you're really good at this.
You are good at this. And so, perception's not reality. And so then let's kind of walk this back to what you perceive to be a good show
Mm-hmm.
may not be a good show. I do, and I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but
Mhm.
one of my favorite shows to watch is Jimmy Fallon, The Tonight Show with
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon. But when it went from being in the studio to being at his home, it went
Yeah.
to crap. I mean,
Yeah.
but you draw off of your audience.
Mhm.
And so you get that energy and you get that kind of euphoric high.
100%.
And so and as you said, when you're not getting that on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you start to depreciate. And so as a comic, what do you do when you start to see yourself dwindling down of that nature? How do you get yourself back up if you don't have a show or something to where you might get that drive again?
It's hard. It's a big part of, I think, what a lot of comics go through with the struggle about trying to get things. I distract myself with other things to do. I'm a big hobbyist. I'm trying to learn piano now. I try to read about different things. I try to go, okay, if it's not happening for me right now, I might as well enrich my person in
Right.
terms of what I know about, what I learn about, the skills that I have, at least to, as far as we know in our perception, have one life. And so you might as well try to enrich it as much as you can with different things. I try to do that. Sometimes I'll try to watch other stand-up or other comedy to just give me ideas about different things to do. I'll see what other people are doing. A lot of times I'll go to stand-up shows that my friends are on. And that's twofold for multiple reasons. Like a lot of times if you go to shows, producers will see you there. You could potentially be like, oh, I'd love to do your show, that kind of thing. The game of comedy, which sucks. I hate doing it. I didn't do it for so long and it kind of hamstrung me a bit. I should have done it earlier. Also, seeing other people do well and watching it, it's like a lot of people that do comedy are fans of comedy first. So we love watching it go well.
Right.
You know, I've found creating something that you really like also helps. Maybe I'll try to make a video that I think is somewhat funny, but also creative, not just super hacky in some ways. Try to find new outlets. I think for me, something completely new sets off that, I don't know what it is, a different pathway in my brain where like it makes me excited.
Right.
It's novelty. That's a normal brain response to novelty. That will help. Even I edit videos that I put them online for my Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out that I could animate a little text thing on it to be like, click below.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times after 15 seconds, you have to click to continue the video. And even that, I was like, oh, this is something a little new. Maybe this will help. Like, there's always, for me, it's always just trying to figure out what's the piece in the puzzle that I haven't gotten yet that's maybe going to work out and push this forward. That's what I try to do. And then when I could hang out with friends, hang out with friends. The biggest thing probably was working out. I mean, we know it's a huge antidepressant and anti-anxiety. And so like I would do that and would just feel better no matter what. At the end of the day, I'd be like, at least, I'm staying fit, I'm staying strong, I feel good about myself that way. It sounds a little, it makes it sound less glamorous and philanthropic,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes if I'm not feeling good, I will message someone and tell them how great they're doing or something. And I like doing it because I know I think I do it because I'm not feeling good and I'm like, I know other people probably aren't feeling good at some time. Let me at least make someone else feel good if
Right.
I'm not feeling good. Like, let me at least spread it. And I think it makes me feel a little bit better too.
Right. So one thing that we talk about in psychology is loosely termed a doctrine of if you want more of what you don't have, give what you have away. So
Mhm.
if you're feeling down, you give the positive energy that you have to someone else.
Yeah.
The problem comes into play though when it's not reciprocal. When you text somebody or you message somebody and you say, hey, I just want you to know that you're a great person, that I value you, I enjoy our friendship, all of those kind of things. And then you get a text back, thanks,
Yeah.
or K, or what do you want?
Yeah. I keep most of those people out of my life
Yeah.
for sure. And I do try not to expect a reciprocal response from people. And I don't get the same of what I give out to people, but I think people give it in different ways.
Sure.
That sometimes I might not even, people want to hang out. They want to see me. And I don't see someone like wanting to hang out. It doesn't make me be like, oh, I'm loved and wanted.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, that just doesn't translate like that into my head. That might be their way of being like, I want to show the opposite. But I think maybe it's because I feel like I need to be on when I see people. Or I like hearing about what's going on in people's lives. And I think people that are close to me are used to me asking. But then it becomes a thing where if I hang out with someone, I almost feel like, I mean, you probably get this. You have to hear about everything that's going on and it can be tiring.
Absolutely.
And not even in a way that you don't like that person. It's just
They
like,
suck all the energy out of you.
it's a weird thing where it sucks energy out and you want to help them.
Mhm.
But it also is an energy suck and not in a way that like they're a parasite. You're choosing to do it.
Right.
But it's still, you still are tired of it. And at the end of the day, you're like, I just like, I can't deal with that right now. And it must be,
Well, in the medical world and in psychology, we call it stress fatigue or compassion fatigue. And it gets to a point of where, yeah, I love you. Yeah, you're a great person. You're a great friend, but I just don't have anything else to give, not even
Yeah.
to listen. And I even find myself, when somebody says, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" I'm going, "Yeah, that's a great idea." But then when it comes time to do it, I'm like, do I really want to invest my time to have to sit here and listen to their problems for free?
That's what I'm no, you know
this
what? I feel
is,
like that a lot, and I feel like that with certain friends that I'm very good friends with and that I love, but I maybe don't hang out with them as much because sometimes I go, "This might be my fault," because I was so open with them
Mhm,
and allowed them
sure.
in a way that most people didn't. So they were like they finally felt like there was someone that actually cared about them, and they're like, "Oh my god, I can be open with this person." And I
Sure.
want that, and I want that, and I'm happy that they have that. I want all of that to happen.
Mhm.
But at the same time,
You can't be that
you
24/7.
can't always, and sometimes it feels like you fall into that.
Right.
Whereas the friends that I've been friends with since, because I have friends that I've been friends with since middle school.
Mhm.
I wasn't like this back then, you know? We didn't talk about, when you don't really talk about emotions, you don't like open up. There's almost no talk of it. And I do now try to open up a little bit to be like, if I sense something, but at least with them, when we're hanging out, my brain's kind of off. We're joking about BS. We're talking like whatever it is. I don't really care about sports, but we watch sport, whatever it is. And at least with them, whenever I think about hanging out, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a chore. I go, oh, I'm just going to bullshit with my friends for a little bit, and that's nice. And I like having both of them, but sometimes you can feel like, damn, I gotta be there for this person, and I want to. So I know I'm gonna like if I'm there and they start bringing up stuff, like I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna phone it in.
Mhm.
Like at least I respect myself enough. I remember I was with this girl and she was super like is it empathic or empathetic?
Empathetic.
Empathetic, yeah.
Mhm.
Or she was like, "I'm an empath," and she was empathetic, and it wasn't bullshit. She really was. To the point where like we hadn't even been dating that long, and she just could call me on stuff. She could just tell what was going on, could tell how I was feeling, could see it all on my face. She could read me so, and she was like that with most people. And she said that it's very tiring because when someone would express an emotion or some kind of tribulation, or something that was going wrong in their life,
Mhm.
she would like feel it.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for her to spend time with a lot of people sometimes because it would be so tiring. And at first I was like, this sounds kind of self-aggrandizing, but it was true.
Right.
And I believed her.
Right. So within personality traits, we all possess a certain amount of every personality trait.
Mhm.
So then if we like for a comic that in our personality trait of having that, to have that affirmation, that just fills us up. But when we get to the point of having to have apathy or empathy, while that may be very little down on we still do it, but it sucks everything out of us. It feels like we worked for
Yeah.
12 hours straight
Yeah, yeah,
or for
yeah.
24 hours straight. So if you're listening to the podcast and you're Dylan's friend and he comes out and does whatever with you and then just leaves abruptly, it's because he's sick and tired of listening to
Yeah, dude.
whatever's going on. But at least he can be honest about it, and that
Yeah.
shows great mental health. So, we kind of talked about a little bit of the pandemic and how things are really shut down and things, people have lost their jobs and
Mhm.
even their homes in some instances.
Yeah.
How has that affected you personally with what you do?
I'm still able to podcast, which is nice, either remotely or I'll have people in my apartment. It's much safer in New York now than it was a couple months ago. There are stand-up shows that are outside. I haven't done any of them, but I'm gonna start showing up and being like, all right, can I do some of these? It's completely different than normal stand-up. It's kind of sucks, but it is stand-up and it is getting on stage. And it also is this weird thing where it's like it's kind of harkens back to the roots of before there were microphones
Hmm.
and when there was just a storyteller
Right.
around the fire, which I kind of have always thought about myself a little bit in terms of like the storyteller is this great role where you can figuratively alter someone's reality for a certain amount of time and cause them to see another life, another story, and bring them there. Whether it has a moral at the end, I don't know how much of that is comedy. My comedy is more just like to enjoy something and have a good time. But really good stories can be told hundreds of times and they don't lose. And it's great. It feels so good to do that. But so the outside stuff is still nice to have that. But besides that, I kind of hurt my back a little bit. I started randomly like getting sciatica, which I'm 28 and I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on?
Could it be just because of lack of movement or
think-
not?
I think the lack of movement led to it. And then now it's just there. Like whatever happened led to it at the end of like the beginning of the pandemic. And then now it's just like not going anywhere.
Mhm.
It's getting
You're how
better, but
old?
still, I'm 28.
Well, just wait till you hit 30. I mean, you'll
Dude.
wake up falling apart.
Trust me, I'm like, I'm like, I need stem cells now. Yeah. But the strangest thing I found is maybe it was because I was so used to being inside for so long, like, because I went to see my family in North Carolina, then I went to Georgia to see my brothers, and I was just inside all day. I was just inside, would work out, watch TV with them, check in with friends every now and then, but like that was it. I'm pretty good at being on my own. I've lived alone for a long time. I like keeping to myself.
You're alone, but not lonely.
Yeah, no, like, but truly. And I think you have to learn
Yeah.
how to do that.
Yeah.
It took me a while to learn that being alone didn't equal being lonely.
Right.
I mean, there's so many things you can do when you're alone that like you read alone. You learn, like most learning is done, all that stuff is done alone.
Right.
Watching show, like whatever it is. But I found that recently, like I really don't want to see people that much. I work every now and then or like I'll help people out with things and I'll see people then. But when people want to hang out, a lot of times, like friends and stuff, a lot of times, like I'm like, let's play games, or we're texting, like we're texting all day, or we're talking all the time. Like I don't know why. What are we gonna go to one of your spots and then chill there?
Mhm.
Which is what I used to do before, but I don't feel bad doing it, which is a thing I've been trying to grapple with, where it's like, I don't feel bad not seeing any of these people, but then they ask me to hang out and I go, why do I not want to see them? And it has nothing to do with them.
So do you feel like the isolation has made you more isolated, but
For sure.
comfortable with the isolation?
Definitely, I think the isolation feeds into the anxiety of like do.
Yeah.
And with career stuff and everything, feeling like it hasn't happened yet just leads you to be like, what can I do next? What can I do next? Okay, let me do piano for 30 minutes. Let me try to learn like a bit about this positive psychology course in Coursera. All right, let me read a bit of the news. Let me read like
The news isn't going to help you feel better.
yeah. Not the news. I mean, yeah, exactly. Not really the news. I do the news for 15 minutes in the morning just to
Right.
be like, did the vice president die? And besides that, it's like, no. But okay, are there some articles that maybe I could give me a different perspective? Is there like, I'm always trying to looking for shit to do, always.
Mhm.
And the only thing I do that turns me off is honestly play games. And I brought this up to my therapist a couple weeks ago. I think it's because it's the only time where I can solely focus on one thing and nothing else. I'm fully focused on that. I'm not doing anything else. I think it's also partially it plays on a lot of your neurochemistry to
Mhm.
like want you to come back in a way. And it's one of the few things that really plays on that for me, but I'm okay with it. But all my friends are on it, so we're talking on it there.
Mhm.
It feels social. Also, you get better at it. You feel like you're getting better, because with comedy, a lot of it can feel very amorphous and like nebulous, and you can't grab onto like, am I getting better? Am I not? I don't have control over doing shows. I have to be booked on shows. It's all this stuff where it's like, I get to choose when to do that game. I could do it for 8 hours and I could grind it out. And I like having that tangibility. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I do it. But I've been judging myself a lot for the isolation, being like, why am I being like this? What's the deal? Because I would love seeing friends.
Well, even though in video games you talk about you would play it with your friends,
Mhm.
but they're at another location, but even within that, there's not like a third party conversation or a sub conversation going on. You're focused on the game and you're kind of coordinating together.
There are some
Okay.
there's
Okay.
a lot of laughs
Okay.
in the game,
Okay.
which I think is part of it as well.
Right.
If I was playing alone, I probably wouldn't play half as much
Right.
as I would.
But you're all focused on doing the
Exactly.
same thing. So there probably isn't room for somebody to say, hey, Dylan, I'm just having a horrible bad day, and this has gone wrong, and this has gone wrong, and this has
Hell
gone
no,
wrong.
dude. Yeah, I'm getting none of that.
Right.
Which is great.
Which is why you are getting energized off of it, because you're all focused on the same thing. There's nothing going to bring you down within in all of this. So yeah, I can see how that would work, but isolation within that, you can only play video games for so long. So then you don't know what to do. You get kind of a dopamine from having that video game and being focused and being driven and having your friends around, but then it all goes away the minute that you turn off. And then, you know, if I do anything with friends, I have to listen to all their problems too. And I want to spend time with them. I don't want to have a therapy session with them.
But the friends that I would hang out with now, it wouldn't be that's been the confusing thing, is that they're not the ones that would bring up like I think it's partially for some people, I'd have to hear your problems, but I really think, my thought process goes, what are we even going to do? You know, even with hanging out, I'm like, we got to do something.
Right.
It's that constant need. When you're playing a game, I feel like I'm doing something.
Right.
And it's just enough.
Right.
Because when I stop doing the game, I'm going, all right, what can I do now? And is that tiring? And is that going to probably lead to burnout at some point? Yes. But, you know, I'm young, dude. I'll feel like the burnout is at least 5 years away. So I got time to figure
Let's
it out.
hope it's 10 years away.
Yeah. I'm saying if I was doing this and not having anything change, which I believe things will change. You know, I started trying to see someone to at least add that. Having a girl is the only time that I'm like, okay, I cannot do anything because being with her is the thing that I'm doing, which I think sometimes leads to the girl thinking, I don't want to do anything.
Sure.
But what they don't understand is that it's the only time that I feel like I can relax at all. All I want to do is not do anything and just like chill there with you. And they think it's like, oh, he's lazy, he doesn't want to go out. It's like, no, I think this is the first time that I feel like I can take a breath. Like a lot of times, the girl I've been seeing recently, I just get tired whenever I'm with her. And I don't think it's because I'm bored. I think it's because I feel like I can take a breath and almost not think about anything.
Sure.
You know, I'm not falling asleep, but like
You're relaxed.
I'm like actually relaxed. I'm yawning all the time. She's like, why are you yawning? And I'm like, and I go like, I'm not bored by you. Like, this is great. I remember someone told me once that, not a random person, like a therapist I'd seen a long time ago. She was like, a lot of people think yawning is just from being tired, but some people think it's the body, like it's like a release of energy or like a
safe.
Or like a switch from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic, you know?
Right.
I have to try to do other stuff with them, but that was always even with my most recent girlfriend, like 5 years ago, whatever, I would just want to do nothing with her. And it wasn't because I wasn't into her. I was in love with her. It was just, I was in the career. I was always doing shit. I was like, man, I just want to not do anything. And I don't feel good when I don't do anything alone. So when I'm with someone and it's just me, then I can do it. There's I can do nothing with a girl and then my two brothers. And that's pretty much it. Maybe family to a bit. My two brothers, I'm comfortable enough with them where I know after, you know, even if we're doing anything, if we're going to get food, and then there's still enough there.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a friend who, if for say we're going to hang out on such and such day, he sends me a calendar invite, and literally we meet at such and such time, but at the time that calendar invite is over, doesn't matter what we're doing, it's over. He's so scheduled in that. But then within that, he says, and you know, it's mutual. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And it's not just, hey, we're just going to hang out and see what happens. And I found a lot of comfort in knowing what was going to happen, as to where other people would not appreciate that at all, you know.
I think it's good because you don't have to think about what's going to happen.
And there's no expectation.
Yeah. You're just like, all right, we're going to go to this place, get dinner for an hour and a half. Then we'll go to this dessert place or whatever. Then we'll go to the river for 20 minutes, just chill, maybe drink a coffee, whatever. And that's it.
Yeah.
I got to go home at 10. You too. We're out. And I think that's good sometimes. I think that's a good to have as a base. And then if all of a sudden you're like, because I'm a big spontaneous guy, something happens, you're like, oh, let's try this out.
Mhm.
But for those normal hangouts you do with someone, it's nice to be like, all right, we got to plan. It's like people that don't plan on vacation and people that do plan. I'm a not planner on vacation
Mhm.
because whenever I see plans as a constraint, oh, you have to do this.
Mhm.
But the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, actually, plans are option one.
Mhm.
So you set all that up.
Right.
And then the way I like to do it is if anything else pops up that seems more interesting,
Mhm.
you go do that. It's like the concert, Concert's plan A, okay? You expect plan A to work.
Right.
If it sucks halfway through, plan B is random bar at the end of the street, ends up being a really fun time, getting waffles at 2 a.m., having a great night. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It can always be that.
But then you have those people that plan A is the only plan, and we're
No,
going
no,
to get
no.
our money's
Yeah.
worth. And
Yes.
we're on vacation, but we're not going to relax because every moment is planned.
Yeah, the money's worth thing is, it's like, and trust me, I understand that because I think of every day as like, I got to do as many things today so that it's a successful day. Trust me, I get it. It's a little bit different when you're on vacation. I would rather those people be like that every day compared to like on vacation. But the money's worth thing is also like, dude, it's your time.
Mm-hmm.
It's your life. Just what are you enjoying doing? If you're supposed to go somewhere and you don't really want to go and you're really enjoying where you're at, what's the right move?
Right.
And it might be, oh, I'm really enjoying this, but if I take a second to think about it, I think that'll be good too. Then I'll go.
Mhm.
And then you can make the decision,
Right.
A lot of times it's like you got to wait with cravings, with food and stuff. A lot of times if I want something, a lot of times you'll just grab it and eat it.
Mhm.
But if you go, wait, do I really want this? Or do I just want like the taste of the carbs, the sugar? Let me like think about it for a second. Oh, okay, I think I'm good actually.
Mhm.
If you kind of let it pass, it can be a fleeting. I found that like the fleeting, it's a big thing for me. I'll see the dried mangoes in the cupboard. I'm like, oh shit, those will be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it last night, and I was like, oh, it's fucking F5. But I'm like, well, if I had walked by and been like, do I really need those right now? I'm about to go to sleep. Blah blah blah. No, I'll be good. That's probably what would have happened.
Right.
But we fail every day, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, like at the end of a therapy session, I would never say this to a client,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking, well, I hope that last 45 minutes was worth it because you're not getting it back.
Yeah.
This was just a horrible, horrible
Yes.
time. But I think sometimes people feel like they're obligated, and we're not obligated to anyone but ourselves. And I tell even in marital counseling, you are an adult. You do not have to explain yourself to anyone. And a lot of times that gets a little sticky.
I feel like there is some pushback on that, though, to a certain degree. You've made a pact with someone else, don't
Okay,
they?
so let's pretend for a minute that you're married and your wife, you say, hey, honey, let's go to a comedy show. And she says, I don't really want to do that. Does she owe you an explanation of why? Or should you respect that she don't want to do that? So let's think about something we would both mutually want to do.
It's tricky, though, because it's like, well, you're shooting down my idea. Like, I'm trying to go have a good time with you.
Mm-hmm.
At least, if it was my relationship, I would at least want to be like, I would at least want to ask, well, why not? What's something you would want to do?
Mhm.
What's, did
Yeah,
you
but-
not like the last one we went to? Just so I can find out. I offered something that I, in my mind, thought she would probably say yes to.
Mhm.
And now she's not saying it. Is this a just today thing? Is this a, you've never liked going to comedy shows? That's why I would ask.
Right,
If she was just like, I just don't really want to go.
right.
I'm not feeling it.
Mhm.
I would go. Then I think, yes, you don't need an explanation.
Right.
I'm not really feeling it today. Okay. People are in different moods all the time.
Mhm.
I get it for sure.
Right. But in the sense here, it would be, I don't really want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you would say, okay, well, is there something else you would want to do?
Yeah.
And she, tells you something else, as opposed to giving her the third degree of why. Why do you not want to do that? And did you not think that was fun? Because I had fun. And so you get then
And you
into
argue about
this,
something
this
yeah.
rabbit trail of problems and issues. But I think that a lot of times we don't even consider that in our friendships.
Mhm.
We feel obligated because
We
here
do,
we
a
are.
lot of times, yeah.
here we are. But I think our friendships would be stronger if we were just able to say, look, I don't want to,
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
without fear of having to defend yourself.
Yeah, because you don't want to be annoying. You don't want to. I think it's the stronger the relationship gets, the more you can just be open and go like, honestly, I don't really feel like doing that, dude. And I think it's helpful because that can be very blunt, And a lot of people, everyone, you've got trouble controlling your emotions and your reactions. So we're reactionary beings. I think it's always helpful to be like, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm not really feeling like doing that. I don't want to shoot because you don't want to be the person that's just shooting down all the options.
Right.
That person sucks. And we've
Right.
all been that person and we know we suck when we are that person, but you're like in it. You're like, no, I don't want to do anything. So at least you can be like, oh, let's try something else out. But on the other end of the coin, I would say, if you're the person that's saying, if my wife was like, no, I don't want to go do that, do I not have a right to be like, well, I do, I'm going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Because you
So,
don't have to
and a lot of
explain why you
people-
want to.
And a lot of people that say, I don't want to do it, don't like it when the person's like, well, I want to go. And then they go anyway.
100%.
They see it as like a betrayal. It's like, well, you didn't want to go. And I'm respecting that you don't want to go.
100%.
So, because then all of a sudden it becomes like, you're not wanting to go overrides my wanting to go. That's unfair.
100%.
Yeah. So that's because people like to hear the first side of it, which is like, I don't have to explain why I don't want to go. And it's like, well, they don't like the other side, which is, well, then you can't get mad when the other person does choose to go, unless you offer the third option. Yeah.
So that's where I was going with it. So you just stole my
My
thunder
bad.
there.
My bad.
But that's okay. We've had Dylan here with us today. We've talked a lot about his career and things going on and relationships and a lot of things I didn't really think we would get into, but
Yeah, me neither.
That's cool too. So stay tuned here as we go into Doc Talks DX, where we talk about some of the diagnoses that we would put together with issues such as why we want to stay isolated when we've been isolated. We're even going to get into talking about how social media affects our self-worth and dopamines and that sort of thing. So Dylan, where can people find you?
Online, Dylan J. Palladino. DYLANJPALLADINO.
All right.
Instagram, everywhere.
Instagram and everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Great. You can find me at thedocbrian.com, on TikTok, doc_Brian, Instagram, thedocbrian. There's a link at the bottom of my website from all of my social media. Feel free to follow us there, and we look forward to having you with us next time. Make sure to check out the second part of this episode, Doc Talks DX Diagnosis, on Patreon, and we will see you later.